One and all, and welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. My name is Mitch Pattinson, and as always, we're joined by Ethan Daffy. And tonight we are reviewing Essendon v Carlton at the MCG. Final scores were Essendon 9 goals, 16, 70, which is an overall conversation as to how that's happened. But also on the other side of the spectrum, Carlton 15 goals, 6, 96. 26-point win. Dave, I'm going to throw it straight to you, mate. How are you feeling initially? You, of course, went to the game. But overall, how are you feeling right now?
I'm good, mate. Walking home. It's always good that walk home because you kind of reflect on the season so far, don't you? When you walk home, you're just thinking of the season so far and the things to come. And yeah, I'm bloody pleased, mate. I'm bloody pleased of the way we've not turned it around, but the last 3 weeks, we felt it from the Gold Coast game. There was a flick of the switch. It's that play okay, bank the wins to put the foot down. Put the foot down on these teams who we are better than. Credit to Essendon. They gave it all. So I have nothing against their team. They'll make finals. No doubt about it. They'll make finals. They'll beat sides. Well, who knows? Yeah, I saw, yeah. I hope they don't make it, but they're a good team. But I think what showed me tonight, and I thought about it on the way home, it's just the class above. And we've had that a few years ago. Remember when we were playing well 2022, and then you play a really good team, and you go, "Fuck, we're just not there yet. We're just not there yet." And now, what are we, Patto? We are there. We are there now. 9-4, 9-4, and we're second on the ladder. I know there's teams that have played one less. Blah blah blah. It's Port Adelaide and all those other shit teams. We'll end up above them. Yeah, what a performance. And it all starts the first half, Patto. Just defensively all round. That's just where I think the game was kind of based off early and throughout the game. It was an 18-man defense. And we weren't letting them out. You could see they're getting frustrated. It was just really, really good to see. And 4 more points and a little bit of percentage, to be honest.
Yeah, well, even through that third quarter, you can really see how we really got around that 18-man overall defense in terms of Essendon could not get past our last line. And overall, that was just so great to see because, obviously I was watching it on the TV, so I was able to, I was fortunate enough to watch as much of the, watch a large percentage of the game, but obviously you were at the game. So the first question I'll ask is, there's a lot of people saying that there's lids off. There's a lot of people saying that Essendon are a great side and Carlton are we have just outsmarted and outclassed a top 4 side, potential top 4 side. But a lot of people are saying right now that they will definitely make finals. But the reason why I kind of raise my eyebrows is because we never know with Essendon because they can start really well, then absolutely shit the bed towards the end of the season. So. Are you in the area of we've beaten a great side and we can build great confidence off that and it proves that we are a top 2 side? Because right now we are second on the ladder. Or are you kind of more keeping a lid on it and trying to go week by week until we actually beat a side that you feel like is a genuine contender?
Yeah, it's funny, the whole lids off conversation. The lid's off.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But yeah, like you said, I think we've just got to take it week by week and we've just got to enjoy it. For me, I think we've just got to enjoy it because if we don't, you just don't know. And then, Michael Voss spoke about it in the presser just then. It was a really good point. And he said something about the reflection from our point in the season last year to now. And he says, you can't just get ahead of yourself because all of a sudden your season could just fall. So he said something about last year, we didn't drop our heads and we kept going. Look at the season. It turned around all of a sudden after that performance last year, which was terrible. And now we're in a position where 9-4, and he said you just can't get caught up in that. You just can't get caught up in that. And we go week by week. And it's just really, really good signs for me tonight. It was a big game, big crowd. Those are always good games to win in because it's finals atmosphere type stuff. You know what I mean? And with, like you said, with Essendon, there's been a lot of talk about them, and fair enough. Fair enough, because they've put away some teams. The Giants a few weeks ago, and they had a few good interstate wins as well. So, for me, it's about showing the class above. Like, even if we lost tonight, we're better than them. But it was about winning that. And it's a mental edge going, we're better than that team. Tick them off. And then you head into the next few weeks. You got Geelong in a couple of weeks where we need to hit that hard. But let's just enjoy the week off, Patto.
Yeah, I think it's a well-earned week off for a supporters' point of view, but also for a club point of view. Now, we're going to swing straight into the initial thoughts after work, but just before we swing straight into the initial thoughts, I'm just gonna pull something out of my now. Like, well, you're probably looking at like what I'm drinking right now. I know that you know what I'm drinking, but to all the viewers, I don't usually drink on the episode. I don't usually drink alcohol. Always drink responsibly. The last time that I reckon I had a drink on an episode of the Baggers Chat was. I think it was round 22 last year where we beat the Dons 2 points.
Yeah.
Now,
sponsor.
Okay. Buddy, if it was a sponsor, I reckon I'd be drinking it. But always drink responsibly, that boy. But club premium strength draw, I reckon that was the exact same drink that I had last time. Are you a fan of the CCs, Definitely?
I'm a fan of the CCs, but I haven't had the taste of the premium strength. It's upper class, Patto. So obviously use the upper class. So
I mean, like, you probably wouldn't expect anything less after you just beat the Dons but let's see how speak straight into it. And also, I've got a bit of a stubby holder. So who knows? I might get another one next year when we win.
Premiership one, mate.
Oh, yeah. Premiership and Norm Smith medalist for the Patrick Cripps. We got early with that. But yeah, so let's now just swing straight into the initial thoughts. And there's a few points before we move into our segments. And I think the first thing that we will say is it's arguably our most mature win under Michael Voss, maybe even in this new rebuild. It's arguably our most mature win. I know that we mentioned last week when we thought how that was a 4-quarter performance, but I think in terms of maturity, when Essendon kind of did test us a little bit when we were playing quite well. I think for us to kind of hold them off again, but also hit it back on the scoreboard, like even in that 4th quarter, I'm sure every Carlton supporter was a little bit like cautious about what this quarter can turn out to be. But it was great to see as soon as we kicked the first, like that first 10-minute passage in that 4th quarter, that was the one where I knew straight away that was kind of the nail in the coffin. I think even when Essendon kicked those 2 goals in a row, I'm just like, you still kind of trust it. But however, Michael was a little bit nervous about it when Harrison Jones kicked that goal. I think it was probably their 2nd goal that they kicked. But now next thing that we'll touch on is Tom de Koning. Take a bow, son. I mean, the past 4 weeks since he's been that sole ruckman,
fantastic.
He's had those games where it's like, this is a statement game, but it's up against Todd Goldstein, who has been arguably, once again, I'll say arguably, I've said that a few times this past sentence, but I think Tom Goldstein's been one of those players this year that is in that All-Australian contention for like the ruck. I mean, I think Max Gawn is by far the one out in front, but probably the next 3 or 4 are probably Ron Marshall, TDK, and you probably would say, I'm not too sure. Who cares? Who cares? You might even say who's the other Essendon? Ned Moyle from the Gold Coast Suns.
He goes all right, actually.
He's actually all right, yeah.
He goes all right, yeah.
Yeah, but he's all right. But the last thing before I throw to you, Daffy Boy, is 88,000 at the game tonight. We don't I don't know the exact figure. I don't know I saw it, but I probably should have written it down. But 88,000 was the crowd tonight, and which is of course the 2nd highest in the history between the rivalry. So in any Carlton and Essendon game in the history of the game, that is the 2nd highest attendance in any game for Carlton and Essendon. So I reckon that's absolutely fantastic. And I think the last one was 2,000. I think the first one is 2,000, and that one was 90,000. So I think overall that was a great crowd. But I'm going to throw to you, Duff Boy. So obviously touch on your initial thoughts. But from a crowd point of view, do you think, because on the TV it did sound it didn't sound like an 88,000. It did for the probably first quarter and a bit. But then it started to die down a little bit towards the end when Carlton started to take a little bit of, I guess, a handle on the game. It started to get a little bit quiet, and obviously it's because it's an Essendon home game. How was it from your point of view actually being at the game? Was the crowd good?
Yeah, crowd was good. it was quite funny because, well, it's their home game. So, like you said, you should have seen when we went probably 41 up. It was only like 4 minutes in, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
pretty early. Would have been 16 to go, 15 to go. They were gone. They were gone in droves. Yeah, they were gone. And that's what what you said with when it got quieter. It was obviously there was more of them. Obviously, their home game, their members are there, and but yeah, it was. I do agree. We silenced them a bit. They're a bit that it's so good when you suck out the crowd and their momentum because they're a loud crowd when they get going. They're a big club like us. I think we're both very similar. When we're up and about, the crowds are up and about. There's a massive roar. That it's a different roar. You know what I mean? It's like that. The guttural. It's from the right in there when they're up and about. But yeah, I do agree in terms of the crowd was a bit quieter than you would have thought for an 88,000. But in terms of the initial thoughts, I think you're spot on. I think it was a very mature win, another mature win in the book. We finished off the game well, and we didn't, die in the last 5 minutes and chew up the deficit. So, and we did really well. I don't know if it was just me, but that last probably 10, just chewing the clock up. We did it perfectly because, like when there's a time to chip, there's a time to chip. When you know what I mean? Like just find little lanes, force them to pick you up, force them to pick you up. Because if they're not picking you up, we'll always keep chipping around for minutes. And we did that really well at certain stages because you knew we were pretty tired at the back end of that last quarter. So that's really good to see. And it's a very mature thing to do. You're not lashing out and going, oh, we just need to go full steam ahead all the time, which is good to see. Like you said with TDK, fuck me. I know we'll touch on him a little bit more later, but his games the last few weeks have been really, really good, and he had 11 clearances tonight. He's like another midfielder for me. Yeah, it's just fantastic. I'll touch on him more later. And obviously 88,000, which is fantastic. And another initial thought: how did Elijah Hollands not get a game at Gold Coast? What was Stewie Jew doing? That's why he got sacked. What is he doing? He was playing a VFL granny last year, Patto. This guy's tearing up the G in front of 88,000, pulling the Essendon Bombers' pants down, kicking 3 snags, and he was phenomenal. He's actually one of my favourite players at the moment. He's class with the capital C, Patto. We needed to add something like that this year. Just a little bit of, we've got that grunt. We just need a bit of that ooze, a bit of that class. He can go back. How many times did he go back and take a mark in the D50? And then you'd all of a sudden see him up forward kicking a goal. Works both ways, Patto. The Hollands boys, both of them, fantastic. So, yeah, they're my initial thoughts, mate, on a pretty good night of the Melbourne cricket ground.
Well said. I think the initial thought about obviously Elijah Hollands is it's a great point, and it's something that I think we'll touch on in a little bit more depth later on in the episode. But I thought I would ask it now. So from the TV, it seemed like he was more of like that 75% to 25% midfield time. Like in terms of he was around the midfield a lot more, and we haven't really lost any personnel in terms of the midfield when Elijah Hollands has gone in there, because Chera has been out for most of the games that Elijah Hollands has been in, but also we brought in another midfield tonight in Jack Harrell. So we would have maybe expected that Jack Harrell, with him coming in, maybe Elijah Hollands and his midfield time may have been limited, but it seemed like he was getting even more midfield time. Did you see the same thing at the game?
Yeah, I think he's a mid now. I think he's a mid. He started in the first bounce.
Yep.
First bounce, it was him, Cripps and Walsh. I was like, gee, it's good to see, It's really, really good to see. I think we needed to add something different. We talk about it a lot with our midfield. I'm not saying we've been a bad midfield. We've been a very good midfield, but we've got a lot of grunt and a lot of big guys and tackling and inside and, guys like Kennedy, Hewitt, Cripps. I thought George was very good tonight, by the way. I thought he was very good. It just stood out. He's been okay this year, but I thought that was one of his probably better performances of the season. But yeah, Elijah, that you're exactly spot on with the 75-25. But then when he's got that time up forward, he's not wasting it. He's not resting. He's going up there. Well, he's resting in a sense, right? Resting, but he's making an impact forward of the ball. And it's just something about him and Zach Williams I like in that forward line at certain points. There's something about those two. They just know what they're doing. And obviously they linked up with Elijah's third goal, which is a great inboard pass by Zach Williams, which is really good vision.
Yeah, well, even overall in like 2022, like even in periods last year, we were really focusing on having those three small forwards that always kick goals. Like,
Yeah,
go outside of their forward line, they wouldn't have any midfield time. Jesse Motlop maybe to an extent would go into the middle if we really needed a bit of zip and zap. But what we've kind of seen this year, and I don't know if it's down to the injuries that we've had with Jesse Motlop and Orazio Fantasia, obviously missed the game, and which is another player that I put down as my point of difference in the preview. And once again, he didn't play. So I reckon my point of difference this year overall has been absolutely terrible. So I just reckon from now on, I'll just not say a point of difference because it's always guaranteed that the player will miss that week. But what I was going to go back to earlier is, so why do you think Elijah Hollands is getting more of that midfield time? Because obviously, as you said, like George Hewitt played a great game overall tonight. You've got a guy like Chincotta who could go through there, who is that tagging player. Yeah. I mean, it kind of forced Zach Merritt to go to that half-forward flank and Chincotta to not off him at all, which was great. And there's a few other players in there that we can really throw in, even Ollie Hollands to a stretch as well. But why do you think Elijah Hollands is getting more of that midfield time? Is there something that you think and maybe Vossi thinks that he might like? And when Adam Chera does come back in, do you see the percentage of his midfield time the same?
I think it will be. I think they've found something, and that's when I think of coaching, it's always about finding something when something goes wrong. Like it's not, it's not a drastic change. It's not like you're putting a full back at full forward. It's a guy we know can play in the middle. We're going to give you time. In this, while Chera's out, we're going to give you time. See how you go. And geez, imagine if you have him, Chera, Walsh, Cripps, Kennedy, Hewitt in that kind of midfield rotation. You go, gee, I'd say Walsh, Chera, and Hollands have that kind of class, don't they? And I know Cripps does as well, but I think Cripps is in that echelon with like Kennedy, Hewitt. They're kind of similar grunt players, aren't they? So you kind of go 3 and 3. You go 6 guys in the team. They probably do fit in the team. Kennedy and Hollands can play forward, So they're guys who can play forward as well. So they're not just one dimensional. So yeah, I think for me, I think he has to. I think he adds something different in that midfield, and it's not like he's just there to plug a hole. I think he's there to develop and really show his thing. He added a little bit something that Essendon couldn't handle at certain stage. They couldn't handle him probably for 3 quarters in that middle. And he's just really, really good to see. And yeah, I hope he stays. And the good sign for me is his brother's going to be able to do the same thing. Maybe not this year. If we need him, he might, certain stage when his body get bigger. And, Elijah's not huge. He's not a big boy. But imagine when Ollie's fucking doing it and he can go in there. It's really, really good to see. And, we've got the Camporelli boys next year. Fuck, they can stick one of them on the wing. You know what I mean? So you just never know. We've just got to keep adding strings to our bow so we're not predictable. Because I think at some stages in the last few years, we have been predictable in that midfield.
Yeah, it's really well put. And even like halfway through last year, we wouldn't have even imagined Elijah Hollands coming to our club. Like, I mean, it was kind of when it was rumored, you kind of expected it to happen straight away, obviously because of their relation to Ollie Hollands. But yeah, another player you've mentioned there was Matt Kennedy. He was another player that I thought was solid tonight. And it's another player that when Adam Chera comes back, and that's what I was about to touch on earlier, and I probably should have mentioned earlier when I was on the point. But the forward structure. So there's obviously Harry Mackay and Charlie Kerner, who's always going to be in that forward line. But the small forwards. So always is that genuine small forward who doesn't really go anywhere else. Like he obviously tries to push up the ground a little bit to get a little bit more around the footy to kind of isolate a Charlie or a Harry in the forward line. But the forward structure has been more related to half forward mids.
Yes.
When last year it was always Durden, like Motlop, like those three were. I mean, Martin as well, like to a stretch as well.
Yeah.
You probably didn't really see always Durden and Martin, Motlop a lot, but you did see always and Motlop. You always saw 2 small forwards, but heading into the next few weeks, do you see like an opening for Motlop or a Durden or even a Jack Martin. I know Jack Martin's more of that half-forward flank, but overall, Elijah Hollands is playing that Jack Martin role and he's doing it better than what he could do because he can go into the midfield.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you? I mean, I know that we've touched on it a little bit too much, and that's why we won't touch on Elijah Hollands later on in the episode, and that's why I thought I'd very quickly touch on his stats. So 19 disposals, 3 goals, 14 kicks, 5 handballs, 7 marks, 2 tackles, 4 clearances. But I'll throw it straight back to you, Dapper Boy. So, do you see this forward structure changing at all, or do you really enjoy it right now with what you're seeing?
I think it's going to adapt the way we get. Like it's like when we talk about best 22. We don't have a best 22. We just don't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just really depends on the situation and how blokes are playing. So you got to base it on form. You got to base it on injuries. You got to base it on your opponent. So that's probably the 3 key things I look at in terms of best 22 and structure wise. But yeah, tonight was really, really good. It was really, really good to see. And Zach Williams, he's going to have to stay there. He doesn't come out. So fuck. You go, I think Motlop had a good game today in the twos. He had 17 or 18 and kicked a couple goals. So that's good to see. I think he's a guy who has to come in for me. I think he probably comes in for Durden, but then he could be the sub. He's not going to just come in to the team. That's the way we're going about it this year. It's going to be fucking hard to get these guys who are injured. And I'm including Cottrell. I'm including Jack Martin. I'm including those guys. Like, they're going to play. Right, they'll play at some stage this season, but there's no locks in a best 22 apart from your key players, right? You got your Cripps, Walsh, your mainstays, right? You got your Wiedering, you got your Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay, and other players. But yeah, the structure, it's just like you said. I know when you asked the question, I knew you were pretty happy with the way it's going at the moment. So, no, I am too. But it'll be interesting to see what we do heading into the Cats clash and the availability of players as well. So, surely we don't. Like, would Chera go through the twos? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. But yeah, and Jack Martin might have to. Oh, who knows? Fuck, he can, because we can probably cover it, to be honest, the way the forwards are going. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and another player who is obviously quite unlucky this week was obviously Orazio Fantasia, with him missing, and he's a player that right now probably does not come back in because you've got a guy like Jesse Motlop who played very well in the twos, and he's probably going to be that next guy in line. Orazio Fantasia might have to go through the twos, but even like Jack Carroll, who obviously was upgraded from the sub last week to the best 22, but that's another conversation where what that means for Jack Carroll, and I think Adam Chera has to come straight in for Carroll. There is no, I mean, I'm not too sure. Like this is just my opinion, but there's no possible way that Chera would come through the twos. But also, realistically, I wouldn't even be. I mean, I would be surprised, but I'm like, well, I mean, this guy's performing. You can't drop him.
Yeah,
sorry, Chera. Sorry, mate, but you might only go through the two. No, well, let's be real. I don't think we'll see Chera come through the twos. But I mean, you touched on it perfectly, and the overall depth and structure, and a bit. That was another thing that I was meaning to say earlier is the 3 small forwards. Like, even if in a few weeks' time, like the whole reason why this forward structure may have changed is maybe because of injuries, but also because we may have been found out a little bit. But now we've kind of found a little bit of that unpredictability in that forward line. That's really great for Carlton. But also, if we kind of get found out a little bit in that forward structure, we can then go back to the 3 small forwards.
Yeah.
Because you've got like Durden, Motlop, Orazio Fantasia, Jack Martin. Those are 4 crucial players that can make a difference. And another player, Matt Cottrell, is another player that you kind of think about it. Does he come in? Because I reckon Ollie Hollands has come absolutely in bounds the past few weeks because of Matt Cottrell not being there and having those 3 wingers. It's opened up an avenue for Ollie Hollands, and I think he's been really good this year. This year overall, but I think the past month or 2 since Cottrell has kind of not been in the side, I think Ollie Hollands has been really good. But we're now going to move on to the ladder position, Daffy Boy, and we're just going to very quickly touch on this. So right now we're second on the ladder heading in. I mean, obviously tonight we now overtake Essendon, so we're now second on the ladder, which is unbelievable as Carlton supporters. Like, I thought about it when I was driving the car on the way home. I'm like 2018, we were going through like 2 wins a season, 2 wins a season, and we got to like round 17, 18 with one win on the board.
Mm.
And like 3 years earlier, we were absolutely dog shit, and we had Mick Moldhouse as our coach. We had Brendan Bolton, who really was great for that whole what do you call it? The green
shoots.
The green shoots through like, I mean, Harry Mackay, Charlie Kerner, all those guys, really developing them. So I think the reason why we're so great right now is obviously because of Michael Voss, but I think Brendan Bolton needs to have some credit as well. You don't want to credit a guy who works for Collingwood, but I think overall he's been really good. But
yeah,
I thought about it. I'm like, fuck, we need to take this in right now and live in the moment, because it can very quickly change. It can change very quickly, and in 5 years' time, we might be back to that. But I don't think we will be, because we've built that sustain club where we can maintain success and sustain, like, keep this success up for 10 years, 20 years, and hopefully try and become like a Geelong of 2010s and the 2000s, and hopefully heading into the 2020s, 2030s, we can be that Geelong side where overall we can be really strong off field, but also really strong on field. So obviously 9 wins, 4 losses, 109% on the ladder. But also heading into the bye, Daft Boy, I'll throw your question to you. Heading into the bye, I'm sure you would be satisfied with where we are right now. But overall, with the past month, have you seen a bit of a shift in our football? And do you think our spot second on the ladder is, I guess, warranted?
No, I definitely think it's warranted. I think we had a few of those losses where it kicks up the arse, in my opinion. But they're losses that they're not needed. They're never needed. But it just, start of the year, you're trying to sort out what's right and what's wrong, and try to minimize the weaknesses and gain more strengths. And like you said, I think we've just flicked a switch, and in that last month, the last 3 weeks, I reckon, probably since that Sydney game, obviously that was a loss, but you look at it like that, you could easily lose by 50 against the Swans if you're off any team at the SCG. It's not like it's a thumping in a sense. And then the Gold Coast game, like I said, that turned it around again. It was just that professional. Like, we just weren't going to lose that game. We just weren't going to drop that game at all. And it's happened the last 3 weeks, Patto. We go over to Adelaide. We weren't going to lose that game. We punched them in the mouth in the last quarter. And what happened again tonight? We punched them in the mouth again. And we got out to a 41-point lead. So, yeah, I'm definitely satisfied. I'm not sure how we lost to the Adelaide Crows, but we'll move on from that. But, yeah, no, I'm really satisfied. And, yeah, like you said, you just got to live in the moment. I was quite happy. I'm not a North fan, or I've never, had anything really associated with North Melbourne, but I was very pleased to see them win yesterday. Because you just look at it and, like you said, it's the same as us.
Yep.
You celebrate that win like it's your fucking grand final. And, shout out to them, honestly. Like, fuck me. Like, what is it, 13 weeks and they haven't had a win? And they get the win, and everyone's, dickheads are going, oh, they're celebrating. Like, you don't get it.
Exactly.
You haven't been there, you don't get it. We get it. We've been terrible for years. Like, not just terrible, like mediocre, like bottom, rock bottom. And like you said, with 2018. And that wasn't, like, there was even worse times sometimes. Like 2015 was shocking. That period of time, and, you'd go to school and you're a Carlton supporter. So everyone goes, oh, everyone laughs at you. And now, like, you look at it now and you go, fuck, they laughing now? They fucking laughing now? Because when we win the flag this year, or, the success we have, even if we don't win the flag, Patto, this is how much enjoyment we're getting right now, going into the football every week, going, fuck, that we're going to win. You know what I mean? So, if you're a North Melbourne supporter, listen, I don't know if we have too many, but fucking stick in there. Because we had young players. They've got a core of young players. They're doing the right thing. You just got to be patient, because it'll come. Look at, we're 9-4 right now. 4 years ago, 2021, we're doing a podcast going, fuck, who's going to be our next coach? So it can turn like that. It's a flick of the switch, and it'll come for them.
Yeah, it's really good. Like, overall, the way that you put it was really, like, spot on. And I think it kind of hits the nail on kind of every Carlton supporter with what we've been through, but also every North Melbourne supporter, I'm sure, would be right now kind of going through that. And, like, after you get that win,
how good is it?
It's just great. And like even last year, like they started well. I think they won the first two games last year,
Yeah.
but this year that win seems
Yeah.
different with the amount of times that they've been dragged through the mud this year, but
Yeah.
also like even people saying like they should have lost the game last year, the last round of and to get Harley Reid. But it's like I like that Clarko kind of said, well,
Yeah.
I think a win at that time, and like you can kind of argue overall with like what could have happened if Harley Reid was playing for North Melbourne, but
Yeah.
it's a win that matters because
Yes.
you can see like the supporters can see hope. It's not
Yeah.
like they head into a game and be like, if we
Yeah.
get it under 70 points, it would be all right.
Yeah.
But they got the win against West Coast, who have actually been quite good this year at Optus Stadium. I know that they are still around that bottom three, bottom two side, but they've been one of the best sides at home. And I think North Melbourne to get that win overall was great. But yeah, I think we just need to try and soak it in right now and take it in. Where last year we made a prelim, which is like that still feels euphoric to me. But also heading into this year, like the expectations at the start of the year when we did our match predictions, like our season predictions about how I tipped us second on the ladder and you tipped us first. Like even just looking back at that and be like, God, we're like, and people don't like people would look at it and be like, yeah, okay, well, I can see that. But it's like Carlton being up there, like top four.
Yeah.
It's something that looking back 4 or 5 years, if we were back in that position now, looking 5 years time, we're like if you told me 5 years ago, I'm like, mate, you're bloody living in fantasy land. But right now, it's happening. It's actually happening, and I think that, I mean, as I said earlier, I think it's a bit of a sense of euphoric feelings, but I think overall it's just a great feeling. But let's now move on to one of our stars tonight, David Boy, and probably one of our stars for the whole season, and probably one of the best stars in the competition. Let's be absolutely honest right now. But Tom De Koning, our sole ruckman, that is the comment right there. Like Mark Pittner can come in to chip in if you're playing in certain positions, but Tom De Koning is our sole ruckman. And you've mentioned the past few weeks, like he makes a difference because we win with Tom De Koning.
Yes.
As our sole ruckman. So 24 disposals as a ruckman. Nuts. 19 hitouts, which obviously Tom Goldstein had more hitouts, but I think overall hitouts are important, but it's what you do around the ground. And I will leave it to you, David Boy, about what you thought about Tom De Koning kind of saving his energy towards that halfway through the third quarter. I will let you touch on that because I think the point that you said before you press record on the episode was absolutely spot on. 5 marks, 11 clearances. Overall, I thought he was by far our best player on the ground. But David Boy, what was your thoughts on Tom De Koning as our sole ruckman?
Gee, we've nailed some picks.
2017, was it?
Yeah, 17, yeah. Yeah,
18
it was a Paddy Dow draft.
Yeah.
The same Paddy, yeah. So Dow was 3, and then obviously, I think Teddy K was 30.
Yeah, a little bit earlier, maybe.
Because the rucks don't often go early. They don't often go early because you just don't know sometimes. Yeah, we've hit the nail on the head there. Oh, he's just another midfielder, and he's a modern prototype kind of player, which I really love to see. And his impact around the stoppage when the ball hits the deck for a ruckman is just superb. What is he, 25 years old? So no wonder why there was teams, throwing cash at him. He's a perfect ruckman to have for your team, and we'll have him for the next, 8, 9 years, 8, 9, 10 years. So it'll be fantastic to see. And just the way he goes about it, he's really good, and he's coming into his own. I feel so much satisfaction watching players come into their own from start to wherever they are now. Like, there's been other players like that. I'd say Paddy Cripps in our time, watching when you really get it, when you really watch it, like, Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay, Jacob Wiedering. Walsh was quicker than all of them, but similar, same thing. And then you talk about other players as well. You go Brody Kemp, he's drafted as a midfielder. He's playing down back for one of the best teams in the comp. Mitch McGovern from where he started at Carlton to now. Well, it's just really satisfying. It's satisfying to see them all together, and I'm sure it'll be really satisfying for the team on the inside the four walls. Imagine rocking up on a Monday going, fuck, we did that on the weekend. We got the job done in Adelaide. Imagine walking out on Adelaide Oval going, we got that. The hoodoo done. We did it together. We used to lose here together, but we win now together and improve together. So as a whole, TDK, phenomenal.
I'm just having to think. I think the last time that we played Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, I mean, obviously last week, was that the 100-point loss?
Yeah.
Murph's
300th.
Yeah, right. So that was the last time that we played Port at Adelaide Oval, and that would have been a bit overall daunting to kind of head into that, being like, well, like we've not had great memories, but also the last time that we played against this side, it was one of our biggest sessions that the club's obviously witnessed. I mean, I know that we've had a lot other 100-point losses, but yeah, I think even heading into that and getting through that and overcoming the overall, like a lot of people were saying, oh, can they end the hoodoo? But they actually walked in and they said, no, we're going to end it tonight. But we won by 36 points against Port Adelaide. Like, we didn't give him a chance at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think hit the nail. I mean, I'll say it again. You hit the nail exactly what you said then about the ultimate satisfaction of seeing these players coming in fault. And once again, like you talk about Ollie Hollands this year, about how he's had that more of that responsibility as that winger. But like even just small players like Jesse Motlop, where you've seen how far he's come. Jacob Wiedering, when he was going through that shit in 2018 when he was forward. And I think it was David Teague. He was the first one that said, "Nah, you're going back. Like you are our backman, and you're gonna put us like that." Was probably one of the choices that Brendan Bolton probably. I mean, I don't blame him. We didn't really have a key forward, so why not? But like he's the generational defender of maybe this century, because seriously, he is a genuine talent. And like Tom de Koning, I think he's one of the players that comes straight to your mind when you kind of think about players that we've seen grow. And like even 2017 when he was drafted, like he was that player where there was so much hype. There was so much hype, but we were like actually wondering like if this is actually going to work out. Like the first memory that I remember of Tom de Koning when he kind of got that, when he had that hype, was coming up against Nick Natanui. I think it was 2020 when he came, and I think it was when he was a sole ruckman. Maybe Mark Pitnet was playing, but it was just that moment when I saw that and I'm like, God, he's matching against Nick Natanui. He's going to be a star. And then 4 years on, he's one of the best ruckmen in the competition. If not, I mean, we won't say the best ruckman, but he's definitely up there for one of the best ruckmen in the competition. So, Dave Boy, let's now move on to our overall game management. And it's something that I saw. So we mentioned about how we were quite hard to score against in periods of the game, especially in that last quarter. But on the other side of the spectrum, we kicked 5 goals, 2 in that last quarter, which is overall, I mean, like I put it there, the best of both worlds. But we stopped Essendon scoring. I know they kicked, I think it was 2 goals in that fourth quarter. But on the other side, we kicked 5 when we were up and about at 3/4 time anyway. So overall, what was your thoughts on the game management? But also, did you see a bit of a shift where we didn't close out the game, but we made certain changes where it was so hard for us to score, but also we were still able to score from our end and actually hit the scoreboard and, of course, kick 5 goals in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I think what's changed the last few weeks is that we've finished the game before like the last 15 minutes. Like, let's be real here. The Port game was done first 4 minutes. They weren't mentally ready to push on. Port Adelaide, after that kind of riot we had in that first 5 minutes, and it's happened tonight as well. We kicked the first 5 goals of the last quarter. You know, you get out to 41 after they had the momentum at the back end of the whole third quarter, really. And obviously Nick Martin kicked that goal before 3/4 time, which got him up and about. But it's just not to let that pressure get to you and just get going, get to work, do the work early. And then, like you said, you don't hold on. You just do the job. Like, you just chip it around. You've done your job with your 5 goals. You know, you don't have to leave the 5 goals to the last 10 minutes. You do the 5 goals and just get it done. We've done that the last few weeks, which is good for the heart. personally, but just for the team, a little bit of confidence going. We can just edge out the game and really just cut the momentum from about 15 minutes to go. I know they kicked a couple and Vossi was nervous and all that type of stuff, but I think what I said before we recorded it was we learned the lesson in the Melbourne game. We didn't put the foot on the throat in the last quarter. We held on for the whole last quarter instead of going first 5, first 10, finish the game, attack, 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 and then take the zap out of the game, chip it around. So, like you said, with the game manager, it's just really good to see. And it'll hold us in good stead heading to finals time and big games like that, because you've got to take the zap out of it sometimes, especially when you're playing good teams. And there'll be some good teams when we are playing in the finals this year.
Yeah, no, well said. Now, another thing before we touch on the bagger of the game votes. Now, even like there's plenty of games this season where we've kind of touched on our conversion in front of goal. Like we were always getting less goals and more behinds. We were never converting on goal, and the overall conversation was like if we could just hit the scoreboard and actually get the 6 points, this can turn into our favor. And I think one of the games that we think of is probably Adelaide, to a stretch where we just couldn't convert with the opportunities that we had. Now, tonight and probably the past 6 weeks, I would say, we have been so much better. So Essendon tonight kicks 9 goals, 16, but we kick 15 goals, 6. Now, come finals time, when we speak about the best sides in the competition, and you kind of get found out against the worser sides get found out against the better sides.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it is this. It is the conversion in front of goal, in front of 88,000, holding your nerve and going back and slotting goals. Now, my question to you, Daffy Boy, is do you think we are obviously kicking like at goal a lot better? Like I don't know if I've said that right, but the shots on goal, do you think it's been more consistent, or do you think that we are getting in better spots on the ground where we touch on it after the Geelong game with Geelong find it so easy. They always get those 20-meter kicks, 30 meters out in front of goal. Jeremy Cameron was like the last goal he kicked, the winner was 30 meters in front of goal, directly in front, and he doesn't not miss that. He kicks that 99 times out of 100, if not 100 times out of 100.
Yeah.
Are you seeing it more of we're getting just easier opportunities, or we're simply just striking the ball so well and we're kicking 50 goals, 6, which is overall overly great?
I think, obviously you're kicking better, but I think, like you said, I think it's the easier shots.
Yeah.
Like Elijah Hollands' ones, I know he kicked a good one from the boundary, which was a ripper, but it's the confidence you get out of those easy shots that lead to shots from the boundary going in my opinion. Because when you start seeing them through the middle, you can kick them from anywhere. That sets the tone, in my opinion. But yeah, like you said, it's exactly with Geelong. Everyone goes, they can't miss. They can't miss. But do you actually watch their attempts?
Yep.
They're not attempting it from 50 on the boundary, and here and there. Like Jezza might pull one out of his ass here and there, you know what I mean? But he's not doing that every time. Chris Scott's not going, just kick it at Jezza on the boundary and he'll just slot one, righto? You know what I mean? Like, it's just not happening. So, yeah, like you said, we speak about it a lot. Just easier shots. Get the little tick lead. Kick at 15. Don't go the long bomb from 50 and think you can kick it from there. Go one more pass. Hit up Akers. Hit up a winger. Hit up a half forward. So it's really, really good to see. And the one example of that was, I think it was Charlie's kick to Owies in the last quarter or second quarter, or last quarter, second quarter. My brain is mush right now after the game, but it was like that. He could have wheeled around and gone for goal. I heard someone behind me go, "Oh, goals, goals!" But he didn't let the adrenaline get to him, which he has in the past. And a lot of players do, not just him. And he just goes there and goes, "Matty, I'm going to give you the ball 5 meters out from goal." Yeah, we're talking about. And he just slots it. Might I add, Matty Owies just slotted that through. But it's an easy goal. So, no, it's really good to see. And some of those goals, those finishes tonight were great. I'd say Zach Williams from the boundary, right in front of me. Elijah, right in front of me again. They're just good shots and they were needed, weren't they? We just kept getting them back when we needed to. And it's a good sign of the Carlton Footy Club and where we're at.
Yeah. That's probably one of the more positive sides when you say,
Yeah.
right in front of me. I think
The Crows are robbed.
Yeah. I was about to say if it was an Adelaide supporter, but that's probably one of the sides where it's like you see Charlie Curno's going, you're like, right in front of me. Like, right. Now, last thing before we touch on the bagger of the game votes, I've just got one more question for you. With Matt Owies and all the forwards kind of drifting forward up the ground to get those 20-meter kicks so we can isolate Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow, do you think that's something that Michael Voss has changed halfway through this year where we need to isolate that forward 50 so we can get those 25 to 30-meter kicks so we can open up and get easier shots on goal? Is that something that you think is the reason why the small forwards in terms of Owies and Hollands and a lot of players that kind of move up the ground to get those easy touches, but also to isolate that forward 50? Do you reckon that's the reason why we're getting easier shots on goal?
Yeah, and I also think we're not locking in either Charlie or Harry to be that guy. We're also locking in Zach Williams very deep.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I think you might have touched on it last week, or it might have been, I don't know. I can't remember exactly the moment, but it's putting someone else deep as well. You know what I mean? Like, and then Charlie pushes it. I thought his impact on the game was more off the scoring end. I know he still kicked 2, which he always does, and he's done that 13 weeks in a row, 2 or more goals. But his impact, especially in that first half, in the first quarter, higher up the ground, and Owies and guys like that, it's scoring chains, Patto. You got to create the chain, be amongst it. And you said it with Owies before. He's not just sitting in the 50. He's going 75, 80 out, pushing to a wing. He's there. He's there. And he's giving it to Fogarty. He's giving it to Hollands. He's kicking it inboard to Kennedy. They're all working together. And they're not relying on the talent of Harry and Charlie, which, you know, you win by 26 points and Harry kicks 1. And I thought he was all right tonight as well. But he kicks 1 and Charlie kicks 2. We win by 26 points. So it's a promising sign because, like I said, there's going to be a game. I don't know who we're going to play, and I feel sorry for the team we're going to play, but Charlie's due to kick 6 plus, isn't he? Really? He's due to 6. It might be North Melbourne. I know we talked them up before. Could be them, but it's going to be someone in this last block of games where him or Harry are going to just kick a massive bag and it's going to be like, holy shit. You know what I mean? But we don't have to rely on them anymore. You know, we'll rely on them when we have to in big games, and you know, talent obviously is over a lot of these other players, but no, it's good to see.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I think tonight was the first game where we actually haven't had our consistent superstars really start tonight. Like Cripper, Walsh, Curnow, Mackay, Wiedering was solid. Like he obviously kept right to no goals, which is obviously one of the best key forwards in the competition. I mean, that's probably a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of overreaction, but I think, yeah, like it's like you said it really well, where it was the other guys where they're not the fringe players, but the guys that are kind of that 10 to 15 to 20 sort of ranked players, if you were to rank them in the club. They are the guys that got us over the line tonight. And they are the players that they played a really good game tonight, but with this type of footy that they play, they can potentially go up to that 5th or 4th or 3rd rank in the club because, like, we say it again, we finally got depth. We have got depth. We have got players that you can trust to come straight in. Corey Dooden, where he was sub, comes on in that quarter, maybe the 4th quarter, and he comes on and he kicks their buddy Boonana and he takes a one-hander against, I don't know who it was against, but
Jake Kelly.
And then Jake Kelly is a pretty established footballer. Average, yes, but I think he's quite established. I think he's obviously played a few games for at Adelaide and also coming to Essendon. But Corey Dooden takes a one-handed grabber and buddy kicks a snapperoonie in front of 88,000 at the MCG against in the top 4 clash.
Yeah.
But I don't see him as a best 22 player. If there is a best 22, I'm not overall. I don't really like the whole conversation of the best 22 anyway. But I think Corey Durden, he can play a role. And we mentioned it. I actually really liked him as sub tonight. But I think that's probably the last thing we'll touch on. But Dave, I'm going to throw it straight to you. So our bagger of the game votes, for the viewers who don't know what this is, we do 3, 2, 1, just like the Brownlow system. 3 votes for best player on ground, 2 votes for the second best player on the ground, and 1 vote for the third best player on the ground. It doesn't need to be the best player on the ground, but it's who we think was the most impactful player tonight in the game against the Dons. But Dave Boy, I'm going to throw it straight back to you. Bagger of the game votes. Who have you got?
There's a lot of good players tonight. I'll say that off straight out. There's a lot of guys who could fit in these votes, I think. And like you said, those 10 to 15 range kind of players could have been in there. I'll start off, kept his opponent to 0, set up our defence all night, wasn't happy at certain stages with how we were setting up in the third quarter, sets the standard in defence. He's our best defender of the last decade. And it's Jacob Wiedering with the 1 vote. Keeper Peter Wright goalless. Fuck, it's not a bad night out, to be honest with you. He's just there. He doesn't need to take 4,000 marks. He needs to just stop the damn forward and set up our defence. And, they scored 70 points in this game. So our defence as a whole were fantastic. Shout out to all them. 2 votes, Elijah Hollands broke open the game in that kind of first quarter. He kicked a few goals. They just couldn't, they didn't pick him up for a few quarters there. It was just like, he was just loose and he puts himself in the right spots. He's a smart footballer. He's not a 30-touch player. He's a 20-touch quality player. And I'm just smelling a really good goal in the final this year from him. You heard it from me first. Just in a final, just some, you know what I mean? Like just some snap from the pocket and just goes, yeah, up your ass. When we beat Essendon in the finals again. And my best on, I think it's pretty obvious to me, the impact he had, especially in the start of last quarter. Holy moly. He was phenomenal. 11 clearances, 24 touches. My best on was Tommy Koning. And there's nothing else much to say with him. He was just phenomenal.
Yeah. Very well said. There's a few notable absentees in my...
same.
But mine is similar. I've got 2 of your players that you just mentioned in my votes. Now, I'm going to touch on the 2 notable absentees that I think could have definitely, they were in my votes that I just had to take them out. Now, Jacob Wiedering, I thought he was absolutely fantastic tonight, but also Alex Chincotta.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good in terms of Zach Merritt is one of the best midfielders in the competition. If not, he's in that range of all Australian midfielders. And I think if you put attention to Zach Merritt, the game that's how high I think I rate Zach Merritt, where he got 21 touches. If that turns into 35, that's when Essendon win. So if Chincotta wasn't tagging tonight, who knows? I don't think Zach Merritt is a 26-point difference player, but the impact that Zach Merritt has and the captain of the football club being tagged out of the game. I know that he had 21 touches, but they weren't impactful. Like he gets 10 kicks, 11 handballs, when usually that's a lot more like a 15 sort of kick game and like a 6 handball game. Like he didn't really have a lot of impact, but he had 11 tackles, which I thought was really good overall. But I think Alex Chincotta was very, 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 very solid tonight, but I don't think he was going to get into my vote. So 1 vote, Georgie fucking.
Yeah, he's good.
Seriously, he the way that he goes about his football. I reckon every single time that he's in my votes or I mention George Hewitt, I always say Georgie fucking Hewitt, mate. It just suits the overall feeling of George Hewitt.
Does his job, mate. Just does his fucking job. He's not a fucking All-Australian. He's not, he's not Paddy Cripps. He's not Walsh. He fucking just does his job. And like you say with Georgie fucking Hewitt, it describes him to a bloody T.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume Vossi. I mean, in the post game conversation with the team, I'm sure he would point out George Hewitt and say the exact same way. Georgie fucking Hewitt, what up, mate? But 1 goal for George Hewitt, 23 touches, 13 kicks, 10 handballs, 3 marks, 7 tackles, which is great in its own right. Now, 2 votes, Elijah Hollands. I think I don't need to touch on anything else, David Boy. I think you hit the nail on the head. Once again, Elijah Hollands was really good tonight, and he's really found that spot within that forward line, but also in the midfield as well. And 3 votes, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Tom de Koning, that might be a star in the making sort of game. I think he's coming up against Todd Goldstein, but when you said then about the fourth quarter, how he was the reason why we won the game.
Yeah, he was.
He was the pivotal part of that fourth quarter. And if he was gassed in that third quarter, if he didn't use all of his energy in, if he used that, if he was absolutely dominating Goldstein through that halfway through the game, who knows? Tom de Koning may not have lasted the game, but he just managed his energy and his role very well. And I just think overall, his game was by far best on ground. But Daffy Boy, before we wrap up the review episode, is there anything else you would like to touch on?
Mate, I think we've covered it absolutely perfectly. Another great win. Let's have a week off. We'll do our mid-season review. We'll look at the votes and do all that fun stuff, and then probably look ahead. Probably do a little bit of predictions for the next month or two, and let's just take it a week at a time, Blue Baggers. Take it a week at a time and watch that damn replay 20 times over on Foxtel.
Yeah. No, well, very well put. Because we obviously do have the weekend off, so who knows? I might put on repeat with a few more premium streaks. I'm standing boy, but always drink responsibly. But to every single Blue Bagger, every single AFL supporter, every single every single general sports supporter, every single person on this planet, get around the Baggers right now. Get on the ladder. I don't care if you're
on board. Get on board.
I don't care if you're a Collingwood supporter. Get on the blue train, mate. I don't care. Just get around us, because right now, I think it's great seeing Carlton finally up there, but also make sure to get around the podcast as well. We upload 2 episodes a week, preview and review, but we also do a lot of work on our social accounts as well. Definitely always doing a bit of a dance move there in the background, which is making me giggle a little bit. But to every single Blue Bag out there, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, but also our other podcast platforms. I'm not going to name them all because there's a lot of, but also get around at Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all those social media platforms. But to you, Daffy Boy, to every single Blue Bagger out there, Blue Baggers!